My name's Colin. I live in Bath in the southwest of England. This is my channel, the Yay Nay or Meh channel, and once again it's time for another Oscar prediction video in the very, very early stage of July 2025, even though it's now August when I'm recording this. But this is the third of these videos I have done for my thoughts on July's predictions. Did one for Best Picture, did one for the acting categories a couple of days ago, and now I'm going to be doing one for the other, above the line categories, which is director and the two screenplay Oscars. We are now about 6-7 months out from actual Oscar nominations, and we still haven't seen, or the general public at least hasn't seen, very many of these films. But here we are, and I need to complete my thoughts at this stage of the race, because I do now feel, in the wake of the Venice Film Festival lineup being announced and the competition lineup being announced, and a lot of premiere or premium screenings at the Toronto Film Festival being announced, we know kind of what's going to be in the race. And there's actually been a couple of bits of news in the couple of days since I recorded my acting video and now doing this one. The first of which is that just after I recorded my acting video, it was revealed that Bradley Cooper's film Is This Thing On is actually closing the New York Film Festival, which is a little bit surprising because, as far as I was aware, Is This Thing On was not ready, was not going to be ready, but apparently it is ready, it is finished, and it's closing the New York Film Festival. And given that, a film premiering or playing only at the New York Film Festival of the fall festivals, I think it's probably going to play Telluride as well, but Telluride releases their lineup right at the last minute, so we don't know what's at Telluride officially yet, although there's hints here and there. When things are being released in the Toronto line, it would say, hey, Canadian premiere or North American premiere. And if it's a North American premiere at Toronto, it's not playing Telluride, but if it's a Canadian premiere, it probably is. So we kind of know that Hamnet is playing Telluride, even though that hasn't been officially confirmed as of recording. But Is This Thing On is apparently ready. So maybe that is going to be Searchlight's push over Rental Family. I mean, as I've said in my other videos, I've never been a believer in Rental Family. I mean, it sounds cute, it sounds nice. I like the work of Hikari, I sort of, or at least I liked her first film, 37 Seconds. I don't see it as a contender, but it seemed like Searchlight's big push. But now Is This Thing On is actually out this year. Maybe that's going to be the push. So I think I'm not sure if I would adjust any of my other predictions in the light of Is This Thing On being ready. I mean, I think it would be in my 40. I would have put it in my Best Picture video, which it wasn't, because I didn't think it was coming out. So I think it would be in my 40. I don't think it would be in my 10 for Best Picture. And I don't think I would have it in any other categories. It's certainly not going to be mentioned again in this video. But Is This Thing On is apparently out and is apparently a 2025 film. Hello, Editing Colin here. And once again, Hollywood has moved faster than I can edit these videos. Sitting here editing the video you are currently watching, I had to kill some time. I was waiting for something to render on my computer. And as I usually do in these kinds of situations, I was idly checking YouTube. And what should show up but the first official trailer for Rental Family. And very much what happened when the second One Battle After Another trailer dropped a couple of videos ago. I now kind of believe in Rental Family. From the synopsis, from the plot outline, or the information we had, Rental Family felt like a sentimental, nice film. And that, to me, didn't really feel like a genuine Oscar contender. But judging by the trailer, I think there's something there. Or at least something there as far as Oscar potential goes. Because it gives me a lot of Lost in Translation vibes, an American in Japan, and your Fish House of Water, that kind of thing. And it also seems to be, at least judging by the trailer, it seems to be specifically dealing with one situation that Brendan Fraser finds himself in, where he has to be a father or a father figure. I mean, I'm not sure if he's supposed to be the biological father of this young girl, but it feels like a man who suddenly finds himself the de facto father for this little girl, and he's lying to her, or seems to be lying to her, judging by the end of the trailer. So I actually think there's something there. And I think Rental Family and Brendan Fraser, I don't think any of the other actors seem like strong contenders, at least judging by this trailer. But Brendan Fraser, he was already on my list by default because I had nothing else to put on there. But I actually think Brendan Fraser's a serious contender now. I think this has a chance to get into Best Picture. I don't think it would actually be on my 10 at the moment. But the next time I do one of these videos for the Best Picture race, I think Rental Family is going to be very high on it. And I also think original screenplay is going to be up there as well. So, yeah, once again, a trailer has dropped and I have changed my opinion. And everything I've just said in what I recorded the other day about is this thing on Bradley Cooper's film, maybe that being Searchlight's push, I don't think so. Yes, is this thing on is closing the New York Film Festival, and I still think it might well show up at Telluride. But I think Rental Family's the push for Searchlight. And as such, I think it needs to be, we need to have serious attention paid to Searchlight, to Rental Family. So yes, once again, I have to record one of these little addenda in order to update you on my current opinions, which are different to the ones I recorded when I recorded the majority of this video. So yes, the Rental Family trailer is out. It's good, and I now actually believe in Rental Family. So yes, back to what I recorded the other day. And the other bits of news that happened just before I started recording. I mean, I did what I usually do. I mean, I had a quick look on YouTube and saw everything that was happening. And a trailer for Ella McKay was released today as I'm recording. Which is a film which is somewhat in the Oscar race. I mean, I think it was in my Best Picture, 40 in the bottom tier. Yes, I had it at number 33 in my last list of Best Picture films. So it's near the bottom of the list. And we didn't really know what Ella McKay was, because James L. Brooks really hasn't done anything for quite some time. So without any firm knowledge about Ella McKay, we weren't really sure what to do with it. Now we've seen the trailer, it's an out-and-out comedy. It's a 30-something successful woman. I mean, she's the governor of a state. I'm not sure if they specify which state, but I mean, she is a state governor. I mean, sort of like a very powerful, very important woman. And yet her family's an absolute mess. That's kind of what the vibe is. And that sounds cute. It doesn't sound like a contender. But When I mentioned Ella McKay in my last video, it was as I admit, a somewhat facetious pick for my number 10 slot in the Best Supporting Actress category for Jamie Lee Curtis. Because Jamie Lee Curtis is in your film, she just gets an Oscar nomination. She's one of those performers who is getting to that stage. And I somewhat facetiously put her in at number 10, but having seen the trailer, I actually kind of believe it now. I believe it more after having watched the trailer, because the trailer definitely highlights Jamie Lee Curtis. She is probably the performer who is on screen in this short trailer the most. She plays Ella McKay's aunt and your mother figure. It looks like her mother, Ella McKay's mother, died. Emma Mackey is playing Ella McKay. So it looks like Emma Mackey's mother died, and Jamie Lee Curtis was kind of her mother figure. And even in an out-and-out comedy, which is what this looks like, depending on what else is in the supporting actress category, I can actually see Jamie Lee Curtis getting in there legitimately. I mean, it was basically a joke when I put her in at my number 10 on the supporting actress list. I actually kind of believe it now. So, I mean, those are a couple of things that won't really get mentioned in this video. I mean, as I said, this is only going to be Best Director and the 2 Screenplay categories. And yes, it is probably going to be pushing 2 hours. Deal with it. So we're going to start with Best Director. And I have to be honest that even though I consider myself a cinephile, I mean, I love cinema, I love sharing my thoughts about cinema, I'm not really sure how to deal with the Best Director category, because what are we looking for? I mean, are we going for somebody who can, create the biggest spectacle? Are we going for somebody who can get the best performance out of their actors? Are we going for somebody who's, an artistic visionary? When it comes to the Oscars, are we simply going for the top 5 films in the Best Picture category, which is what it often is, or it has been historically? So is it going to be that? Who knows? So I kind of find it difficult to pick a Best Director. I mean, I can pick out directing performances I like, directing performances that impressed me. But at the end of the day, are they actually going to be nominated? Are they actually going to be contenders? I don't really think I'm in a position to know. I mean, I didn't go to film school. I'm an enthusiastic amateur, I guess you'd call me. So yeah, I don't know what to do with Best Director. But having said that, I think my pick for Best Director is maybe a bit of a left field one. I think certainly is one of the people in the conversation, but right now I think I have Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value. Now, as I've said in the past, I wasn't the hugest fan of The Worst Person in the World, purely on entertainment value, purely on films that meant something to me. His collaborator Eskil Vogt, I think, is a better director. I mean, his films Blind and The Innocents, Eskil Vogt's films Blind and The Innocents, I prefer over Worst Person in the World and the Oslo trilogy, or the other parts of the Oslo trilogy that Joachim Trier did. Didn't like Thelma though. That was no. But right now, I think my pick would be Joachim Trier, because the positive buzz, the positive support coming out of Cannes, where Sentimental Value won the Grand Prix and in most years would have won the Palme, I think. There's so much positivity, there's so much buzz about this. Is it going to get 4 acting nominations? Seems like that's a possibility. Is Joachim Trier and Eskil Vogt going to get another nomination for original screenplay, which they got for Worst Person in the World? It feels like this is the call. Even though this is a Norwegian film, and I think right now it's seemingly absolutely guaranteed to win Best International Feature. That seems like an absolute lock at the moment. Is that going to be enough to get a Best Director nod? I'm not so sure. Yes, we are living in a post-Parasite world where it's not unprecedented for an international director to win for a non-English language film. In fact, it happened back to back. I mean, we had Parasite with Bong Joon-ho winning Best Director. The year after, Alfonso Cuarón won for Roma. And technically, a few years after, Michel Hazanavicius won for The Artist, which kind of counts. So it's not completely off the table. I mean, it has happened before. There is some precedent for it. But I still think it's a hurdle for an international director in an international film to win Best Director. But right now, I have Joachim Trier winning Best Director. Even though the film that I currently have as my Best Picture winner is Begonia, and therefore you might think that Yorgos Lanthimos would be my choice. That's certainly a possibility. That's certainly something that people would be saying. But I think the Academy has a little bit of an issue with Yorgos Lanthimos as an individual. Yes, films he has directed have won Oscars. I mean, The Favourite, Poor Things. Even The Lobster got a nomination for Best Original Screenplay, with Yorgos Lanthimos working with Efthimis Philippou again. That was a strange nomination. And, way back in the day, he got an international feature nomination for Dogtooth, even though technically that wasn't a nomination for Yorgos Lanthimos, it was a nomination for Greece. I think it was very unfair when they did that. I mean, they've changed it now, and the director actually gets credit and actually isn't an Oscar winner now. But it wasn't back in 2011 or 2010 when Dogtooth was nominated. But anyway, I've said in the past, I think Yorgos Lanthimos is a very weird filmmaker, and I love him for it. I mean, as I've said, Dogtooth is supremely fucked up, but I love it. But he is a very confrontational, very abstract, very artistic director. And I don't think the Academy actually likes that. I mean, even in his successful films or more successful films, like The Favourite, like Poor Things, yes, he got nominated for Best Director, he didn't win. And even though right now I think Begonia is going to be the Best Picture winner, I think it's not going to win Best Director. I think it's going to split this year, which does happen, or it happens a decent amount. But I think it's going to happen. I mean, I think the Academy has an issue, or something of an issue, with Yorgos Lanthimos. I don't think he's getting an Oscar as an individual. But because he's my Best Picture winner at the moment, he has to be very high on my list for Best Director, and currently he's in my number 2 slot. And then in number 3, we have the director who I think a lot of people, even the majority of people, have currently winning Best Director. But once again, we're coming up against my personal biases, and I maintain the position, and I'm digging my heels in, that I do not think Sinners is going to be a contender at the actual Oscar ceremony in 2026. So I don't think Ryan Coogler is winning Best Director. I think there's a very high possibility, or maybe even a probability, that I personally will think Ryan Coogler deserves the Best Director win. As I've said, I think there will almost certainly not be a better scene in cinema in 2025 than the I Lied to You scene in Sinners. I mean, that was just a masterful piece of work. I mean, superb directing, the way it was choreographed, the way it flowed together, making it look like it was all one scene. Maybe it was one scene. I haven't actually done the research on that, but it looked like a one-take shot just going through the entire history of black music. I mean, that was extraordinary in concept and execution. I think it was an impeccable scene, and that's just one of many brilliant scenes in Sinners. I mean, I think Ryan Coogler is one of the best directors out there. He really is. But I still have that issue that I don't think Sinners is going to win. I think basically Sinners is too good for the Academy. If you are not incredibly blunt and incredibly palatable for the Academy, if white voters cannot put themselves in that film and say, oh, I would be the good person, then it doesn't get nominated in general. It's usually sanctimonious bullshit like The Help and Green Book. I mean, yes, every now and again you get something genuinely transcendent and genuinely brilliant like Moonlight, but I think that's a rarity. I think it's still a rarity. I mean, the example I always go back to is the 1990 ceremony for the 1989 Oscars, where Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture and Do the Right Thing got 2 nominations. And one of them was for the white supporting actor. I don't think the Academy has changed that much, and I don't think Sinners is going to be a contender. So much as I would love Ryan Coogler to win this category, I mean, he's the only one of these directors I've actually seen the work of at this point. And I expect and suspect that Sinners will be right near the top of my personal list. I don't think he's winning the Oscar, but I think he's probably going to get nominated, so he slots into my number 3 slot. And in my number 4 slot is, I think, a bit of a risky pick. I can easily see this happening, which is why it's in my 5, but it would take a special set of circumstances, and I think that special set of circumstances might actually happen for Jafar Panahi to get nominated for Best Director. I think his narrative is impeccable. It's unimpeachable. He has the best storyline going into this Oscar season. The fact he is this Iranian dissident filmmaker who has to make his films in secret. He's been banned from making films for, I think it's about 15 years now. I think he was first banned in 2010, 2011, I think, and put under house arrest for a while. And then smuggled a film out in a cake. Literally, he smuggled a film out in a cake which played at the Cannes Film Festival. He is an incredibly brave filmmaker. He's a very pointed filmmaker. I mean, the reason he's got in trouble with the Iranian authorities is just how humane his films are. I mean, like his film Offside, about women who just want to see a soccer match, who just want to see a football match. But in Iran, they can't do that because they're women. It's powerful how he manages to make those stories. And from what I hear, it was just an accident. Is his return to sort of like straightforward filmmaking? I mean, Jafar Panahi's last few films have been very much a metatextual experience. Like Taxi Tehran, a taxi driver, Jafar Panahi. The filmmaker, Jafar Panahi. Oh, why are you driving a taxi? Well, I can't make films, so I'm driving a taxi. And in the back of his taxi, there are scenes playing out which kind of have parallels and kind of have echoes of his previous work. And there's conversations about the treatments of women and wearing the hijab with people, with the passengers in this taxi, driven by filmmaker Jafar Panahi. In No Bears filmmaker Jafar Panahi is trying to direct a film from Iran right near the Turkish border, but his actors are in Turkey, but he can't leave the country. So from Iran, through little monitors, he's trying to direct a film in Turkey, and it's not going well because there's, technical issues. And then he accidentally causes enormous harm in the little village he's staying in. And yeah, I think No Bears felt to me like it was Jafar Panahi dealing with his own issues and dealing with his legacy in a very personal way. I mean, in a very soul-searching way. I think the subtext that I felt in No Bears was, if this is the way I have to make films, is it worth it? That was the subtext I felt in No Bears. I mean, the final scenes of No Bears were kind of depressing. It was like, oh, has he given up? But apparently not, because as far as I hear, it was just an accident. Is a film about the Iranian regime and living in a totalitarian state, in a theocratic state. But it's not the metatextual thing of Jafar Panahi appearing on screen and talking about the dissident filmmaker Jafar Panahi. It sounds like it's a very, very black comedy dealing with torture and things like that. I mean, it's one of those films I'm absolutely fascinated. I'm desperate to see it was just an accident. And I can see it being, a statement that the Academy at large wants to make. Hey, we can nominate dissident filmmaker Jafar Panahi in Best Director and in Best Original Screenplay as well. So we're going to do it. So I can easily see that happening. Or I would like to see that happening. I think this is a little bit of what other people call hope-dicting. I'm predicting what I hope will happen. But I can see it happening, and yeah, I did want to put Jafar Panahi in my list of Best Director nominees. And the final nominee in the Best Director category is one who came up right at the last minute. I mean, it was just after I filmed my Best Picture video. I mean, the day after I filmed my Best Picture video, the trailer for Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another came out, and suddenly I thought it was a contender, because until that point I really, really didn't think that One Battle After Another was going to be anything. But it looks good. It looks like Paul Thomas Anderson on form. It doesn't look as much like Inherent Vice. Well, the second trailer doesn't look as much like Inherent Vice as the first trailer did. So, yeah, I think this is actually going to be Paul Thomas Anderson on proper form. And Paul Thomas Anderson with a budget. I mean, this was the largest budget by quite some distance that Paul Thomas Anderson has ever had. I mean, and yes, I think a decent percentage of the budget for One Battle After Another went to paying Leonardo DiCaprio. But it's still the biggest budget that Paul Thomas Anderson has ever had to work with. And I think it's going to be good. And the Academy likes Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, even minor works by Paul Thomas Anderson, like Licorice Pizza, which was fine. I mean, I think the only Paul Thomas Anderson film I've actively disliked is Inherent Vice. But Licorice Pizza wasn't really anything. And yes, it still got Oscar nominations, which I don't really think it deserved. So, yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson is, one of the greatest American living filmmakers. And I think that's probably going to be enough. I mean, because after that second trailer for One Battle After Another, it does look good. So it is on the list, and Paul Thomas Anderson is in my number 5 slot. And just on the outside, the first of my contenders, the first of my next 5 list in the Best Director category is Luca Guadagnino in After the Hunt. Now, After the Hunt was my Best Picture winner in my first 2 videos dealing with the Best Picture category. And it did fall off because there's issues following the trailer of After the Hunt. I'm not quite as strong a believer in it as I was before, but I still think it's going to be good. I still think it's going to be a contender. But very, very much like what I was talking about with Yorgos Lanthimos earlier, Luca Guadagnino doesn't do well at the Oscars. And honestly, he doesn't do well with me. I mean, I'm mixed on Luca Guadagnino's work. I didn't like Call Me By Your Name, which is the only one of his films which has been a serious Oscar contender. I mean, he's made some weird choices like Bones and All and remaking Suspiria and having Tilda Swinton put under prosthetics as a man. I mean, I kind of see what he was trying to do with Suspiria. Personally speaking, I don't think it worked. So yeah, I mean, Luca Guadagnino is not one of my favourite directors, and he's not one of the Academy's favourite directors. And with some speculation about whether After the Hunt is actually going to be any good, I don't think at this point that Luca Guadagnino is going to get nominated, but I still think it's worth putting on this list in my 10. So yeah, After the Hunt by Luca Guadagnino does slip in my number 6 slot. And next on my list is Noah Baumbach for his film J. Kelly, which I do think is going to be Netflix's biggest push. I think the Academy likes the kind of work that Noah Baumbach does, or at least they like the writing that Noah Baumbach does. His only Oscar nominations have been for writing. His sort of like breakout film all the way back in 2005, The Snail and the Whale, Marriage Story, he got nominated for Best Screenplay, and he was also a producer on that, so he got a nomination for Best Picture. And also Barbie. He is the co-writer on Barbie with his partner, wife, Greta Gerwig. I'm not sure if they're married, but they have kids together. But yeah, the Baumbach Gerwig team is, I think, one of the definite power couples in Hollywood. I mean, I basically universally love both of their work. But anyway, in this case, I mean, I fully expect J. Kelly to be a contender in Best Original Screenplay, but Noah Baumbach has never got a Best Director nomination at the Oscars, and not many elsewhere either. I mean, he got a Critics' Choice nomination for Best Director for Marriage Story, and he won Best Director at Sundance for The Squid and the Whale. So, as a director, Noah Baumbach doesn't have all that much profile. And I think that goes with the kinds of films that Noah Baumbach makes. I mean, very dialogue-driven, very character-driven. That's generally what Noah Baumbach does. And that doesn't necessarily scream director nomination. So, I mean, I think it has to be on the list because I do think that J. Kelly is going to be a genuine contender at the Oscars. But I don't actually believe in a nomination for Noah Baumbach for Best Director. So he slits into my number 7 slot. Yeah, and then we come to one of the potential interesting rivalries in this year's Oscars. I think there's a chance, not a strong chance, but I think there's a chance that we're going to have a pair of brothers fighting it out for Best Director. I don't have either of them as a nominee at the moment, but they're both worth putting on the list, I think. And I think the better chance of the Safdie brothers to get nominated is Josh Safdie directing Marty Supreme. Now, as I said in my previous video, I really don't know what Marty Supreme is at this point. Nobody really knows what Marty Supreme is at this point. So, what to do with it? I don't know. So it's on the list, but it's not a nominee, and it's in my number 8 slots. I mean, it sounds like such a strange project. You know, a con man ping pong player played by Timothée Chalamet. I mean, as I did in my last video, I think he's going to be a contender for Best Actor. But the film and the director, I really don't know yet. So we still haven't seen a trailer for Marty Supreme, which I think is mildly concerning at the beginning of August, which is when I'm recording this, even though these are my lists from July. I mean, I made these lists in July, but yeah, we still haven't seen a trailer for Marty Supreme, which I think is concerning. Mildly concerning. So we don't know what Marty Supreme is, but it feels like a contender, and therefore it feels like Josh Safdie does have a chance of getting an Oscar nomination for Best Director. And his brother also has a chance. I don't think it's as strong a chance for Benny Safdie to get a directing nomination for The Smashing Machine. If it's going to be anything, I think it's going to be Dwayne Johnson and maybe even Emily Blunt. It feels like a character-driven piece, although I've heard that there's some weird quasi-surreal stuff that goes on in The Smashing Machine, apparently. Apparently it's not just a sports biopic. So I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I mean, as I said in the past, I did not like the Safdie brothers' work. I was not a fan of Hidden Gems. So I think both Safdie brothers, now they're working separately. I mean, it's interesting how relatively quickly they split off and started doing their own projects. I mean, it took the Coen brothers decades to start working separately. Oh yeah, Ethan Coen's film Honey Don't is coming out in a few weeks. That looks fun. I love Margaret Qualley, and she's once again playing a lesbian. Is Margaret Qualley trying to tell us something? But yeah, I mean, the Coen brothers spent decades working together. The Safdie brothers, not quite so much. But I'm interested in both these films. I'm really interested if The Rock is actually going to be a genuine contender for Best Actor, because that seems fascinating to me. So yeah, I think much stronger chances in the acting categories for The Smashing Machine. But I do think that Benny Safdie is worth putting on this list. And yeah, at this point, I was starting to struggle a little bit. I mean, there were quite a few options that people have been buzzing about. And the one I finally settled on is a film I'm no longer a true believer in. And that's James Cameron's Avatar: Fire and Ash. I think there is often, or at least there can be, a slot for a big spectacle movie to make it into the list. That can happen. I mean, it hasn't worked for Denis Villeneuve and the Dune franchise, either of the Dune franchises. I'll have to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of Dune, but give Denis Villeneuve a Best Director nomination, surely. Actually, did he get one for Arrival? Oh yeah, no, he did get one for Arrival, so that's... I mean, I love Arrival so much. So yeah, I mean, sometimes the big spectacle movie can get nominated. I mean, James Cameron has a history of this. I mean, the original Avatar, Titanic, to name but two. As I said in my Best Picture, I think, well, in one of my previous videos, I don't care about Pandora, I don't care about Avatar, but it is a spectacle. And even though, having seen the trailer, it doesn't fill me with desire to see Avatar Fire and Ash. It's still a spectacle. I mean, that kind of... I mean, essentially it's an animated movie. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. It's completely computer generated. Yes, there's motion capture and performance capture and all that kind of stuff. But it's essentially an animated movie. And that was genuinely revolutionary in 1999. Not so much now. And I think you need to, personally speaking, in order to be a Best Picture contender, you need to have something more than just essentially remaking Dances with Wolves, which is certainly what the first one was doing. And then the second one was all about whaling, because they needed some chemical from these space whales' brains. Really? And it doesn't look any better. I mean, admittedly, it's just a short trailer. But even in that short trailer, I'm not that impressed. But it's big, it's a spectacle. James Cameron has the respect of the Academy, or I think he does. So there's a decent chance that James Cameron does get nominated for Avatar Fire and Ash. I doubt he'd be, once I see all of these films, I doubt he'd be high on my personal list. And I also think it would be cool if there was another rivalry with James Cameron and his ex-wife, Catherine Bigelow, both having films in the same year. It would be fascinating. Actually, it would be fascinating if Marty Supreme, The Smashing Machine, Avatar Fire and Ash, and A House of Dynamite were 4 out of the 5 director nominations. That would be a very, very strange circumstance, but it would be cool having the two brothers fighting against each other and the exes. But regardless, I personally don't believe very strongly in James Cameron or Avatar Fire and Ash, but he certainly needs to be paid attention to. He certainly needs to be in the conversation because of the types of films he makes, the kind of blockbuster spectacle movies that James Cameron makes. So yeah, Avatar Fire and Ash is on the list in my number 10 slot, but I don't strongly believe in it at all. So moving on to the next category in this video, and that is the adapted screenplay category. And that is the film that I have as my Best Picture winner at the moment, and that's Begonia. Adapted from the South Korean film Fear of a Green Planet from 2003. Well, I think that's what it's called, but I haven't seen it. Do I want to see the South Korean film before I see Begonia? It's a tricky one. Because then, if I watch Begonia, it's like, oh, they didn't do it that way in the Korean version. And the way my brain works, that's all I'll be able to think about. So yeah, no, I'll probably see Begonia, but then I will have to go back and see what the writer Will Tracy for Begonia, how he morphed it, how he adapted it. So yeah, I mean, I think I will have to see Begonia first. And given its place in the release calendar, yeah, here in the UK it's October 31st. So maybe that's a little bit early. I suspect I might actually be able to see Begonia at my local film festival, the Film Bath Festival, which I've been attending for over a decade now. Yes. It's so cool having a very well programmed film festival in your local town, which is what I do. I'm very, very lucky in that case. But yeah, whenever I see Begonia, I love to see it. And I think its themes, or at least judging by the trailer we've seen of Begonia, its themes of paranoia and of the modern obsession, really, with conspiracy theories, and the fact that Jesse Plemons genuinely believes that Emma Stone is an alien and has persuaded his friend Stavros Halkias that this person in front of you is not a person, it's an alien. Although I think in the original Korean version it's the girlfriend. I mean, the main character has a very subservient girlfriend who helps him kidnap this pharmaceutical CEO. But in Begonia it's Stavros Halkias. And yeah, I mean, I think Will Tracy wrote the menu, or co-wrote the menu, which I actually really liked. I mean, that's another one that's kind of blunt, but the points he made were so delicious in more ways than one. They were delicious. I mean, but yeah, the way that the menu worked, I really, really liked that movie. And I mean, I think that's the first time I'd come across Will Tracy's work. I believe he's one of those guys who used to work for Funny or Die, or one of those, or College Humor, one of those sites. I don't know what. Oh no, it was The Onion, I think. I think the first time I came across Will Tracy was the menu. And I did like it. And working with Yorgos Lanthimos, and Yorgos Lanthimos not working with Efthimis Philippou, is fascinating. And Efthimis Philippou is the writer of this film Rosebush Pruning, directed by Karim Aynuz, with a fascinating cast list. I mean, it was started, would you be whispered about, maybe it was coming out this year, maybe it was going to show up at Venice. It's not, it's probably not ready yet. But yeah, Rosebush Pruning sounds fascinating. I mean, a family which includes people like Elle Fanning, Callum Turner, Riley Keough, Lucas Gage, Jamie Bell, Tracy Letts, Eleanor Anaya, and Pamela Anderson. That's a fascinating cast. I mean, it's a remake of an old Italian film about a family who has some kind of genetic deficiency in their background. So members of this family start getting bumped off. Sounds fascinating. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious about that. That's what Efthimis Philippou has been doing while Yorgos Lanthimos has been making Begonia. Yeah, I'm fascinated by this. I think it feels like a type of story that this is the right time for it. The situation in the world, the unquestioned belief that certain people have in conspiracy theories like this. There are genuinely people out there that believe that Democratic politicians were killing children in the basement of a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C. A pizza restaurant which doesn't actually have a basement. And yet one whack job showed up with an assault rifle. America! Gun laws! Isn't it great? I mean, just the other week, I mean, I am an NFL fan. And just the other week, somebody walked through the streets of New York carrying an AR-15 and shot 4 people in the building of the NFL because he thought he'd been given CTE by playing American football. It sounds like he was just a mental patient, but the fact that he walked through the streets of New York with an AR-15 and nobody stopped him, nobody questioned it, And then he goes to the building trying to kill people who worked for the NFL, and one of the people he killed, he got off on the wrong floor. Yeah, but this is all beside the point. This kind of conspiracy theory is so powerful, and having seen the menu, I trust Will Tracy to create a story or build a new framework, a new interpretation of this film, Fear of Green Planet. So yeah, I'm fascinated by Begonia, and right now I think Begonia is my choice for what is going to win Best Adapted Screenplay. Now, in my second slot is a film which I don't think is the second most likely to win the Best Adapted Screenplay category. It's the film I feel most confident about actually getting the nomination. This is not, it's just behind Begonia in my list because I think it's going to win. I think this is the safest pick I have of what I think is going to get nominated in Best Adapted Screenplay. And that's Wake Up Dead Man. Or to give it its full title, Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out Mystery. Which is unwieldy. But anyway. Rian Johnson gets nominated. He gets attention. He can do this kind of intricate whodunit really, really well. I think Knives Out is a perfect little puzzle box. I mean, everything coming together so well. I mean, while I was watching Knives Out, I actually figured out who did it quite early, but then there was enough other stuff going on that I kind of moved away from my initial thoughts and changed my mind, and then was annoyed when it actually what I thought had happened did happen. I mean, the curious incidents of the dog in the night time.
Is there any other point to which you wish to draw my attention, Mr. Holmes?
To the curious incident of the dog in the night time.
But the dog did nothing in the night time.
That is the curious incident.
In this case, the dogs did bark, and that made me think, oh, the dogs bark for that character, so... But then I moved away from it because of the way the film worked. And yeah, then it was like with that person, which really annoyed me. And Glass Onion I don't think was quite as good. I think the puzzle wasn't quite as intricate. It wasn't quite as clever. I think Rian Johnson was making a point about billionaires, and he was kind of also making a point about COVID, which it was filmed during COVID. I don't think it worked quite as well, although Janelle Monáe was excellent in Glass Onion. But it is a very, very safe bet to put Wake Up Dead Man in the Oscar nominations for Adapted Screenplay, because both Knives Out and Glass Onion got nominated. So why wouldn't the third one? I mean, unless it's, you know, a complete misstep, unless Rian Johnson has lost the plot, I mean, lost his touch. But I don't think he has, because I mean, he's recently done the TV show Poker Face with Natasha Lyonne, which is good. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I don't think it's sort of like the masterful piece of work that Benoit Blanc is. Wake Up Dead Man is one of those films I'm dying to see. I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to this. I mean, I love what Daniel Craig does in these films. I love what Rian Johnson does in these films. And I think right now it's a very, very safe bet for Wake Up Dead Man to be in as a Best Adapted Screenplay. So it's currently at my number 2 slot. And yeah, in my number 3 slot, it is a film that did make it all the way into my nominations. It wasn't in my initial list, but then the trailer came out. And yeah, one battle after another made it all the way up to my number 3 slot, which I think says something about the relative weakness of this category. In fact, right now, I think both screenplay categories are weak because we just don't know enough of these films. I was struggling on both the screenplay categories, but One Battle After Another did make it into my number 3 slot because Paul Thomas Anderson has the background. I mean, he has got nominated multiple times for screenplay as well as for directing. And as I said, that second trailer did look good for One Battle After Another, so it feels like a safe bet at this point, even though it really wasn't a film I believed in strongly at the beginning of this process. But right now it's in at my number 3 slot, and I feel reasonably confident in that. And I'm less confident about the last 2 films on my list. The first of which is Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Music biopics are weird when it comes to the Oscars. For some reason, the Academy really, really likes them. I mean, they really love The Complete Unknown, and I barely think that A Complete Unknown deserved those Oscar nominations, but they kind of love it. And yeah, I mean, as I've said in previous videos, I think Jeremy Allen White is a very, very strong shout for a Best Actor nomination, maybe even a Best Actor win. Maybe Jeremy Strong as well, or possibly Stephen Graham if he turns out to be the bigger supporting role in the film. But I don't fully believe in the screenplay for a music biopic. Of the options I have, I think that's the one I kind of believe in the most that's left on the list. So yeah, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere is currently in my number 4 slot. And for my number 5 slot, I'm basically throwing darts at a dartboard because who the hell knows what's left of the contenders. I don't know. So I picked Frankenstein. It is a classic. I mean, it is a classic of Gothic literature. It's a classic of science fiction, of horror. It's kind of a classic of feminist literature as well. And it's been adapted so many times. I mean, obviously the Boris Karloff version in the 1930s. Kenneth Branagh's version was the 90s, 2000s, whenever that was. Yeah, Kenneth Branagh failing to rein himself in. So what's Guillermo del Toro going to do with it? And what's he going to do with the script? I mean, because supposedly this is an adaptation of the novel and not the movies or the Universal Monster movies. And that sounds fascinating to me. Guillermo del Toro has this whole gothic fiction, gothic horror thing going for him very successfully. So what's he going to do with sort of like the absolute classic, the absolute origin of the types of films that Guillermo del Toro does? I mean, he's going right back to the roots, right back to the source of all this stuff, all the stuff he's been doing throughout the entirety of his career. This is what he's going back to. And having that, and having Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein and Jacob Elordi as the monster. Interesting casting. And with apparently Jacob Elordi actually having dialogue in the film as the monster, which is a different version from the traditional film version, but obviously Mary Shelley's original novel. there is some really interesting philosophy in Frankenstein. I actually had to study Frankenstein at university. And as often happens, I mean, when you have to study something, when you have to granularly pick out all the different things from the book, I mean, it was a less than enjoyable experience. But yeah, I mean, going back to the source material and making a film version of it, and Guillermo del Toro making a film version and writing the film as well. Sometimes Guillermo del Toro can rein himself in, and sometimes he can't. It's going to be interesting seeing which one of these it is. I mean, we've seen very, very little. We've seen a teaser trailer, not a full trailer, a teaser trailer for Frankenstein at this point. I'm curious. But, I mean, I think I believe in it enough that of the options left to me, I think Frankenstein is the one I believe in most for my number 5 slot for an actual nomination. But we shall see. And the first of my contenders list, the first of the films on the outside looking in, is a film that I think a lot of people still have as a nominee, and I did until I saw the second trailer to One Battle After Another and it moved it up. But I don't really believe in Hamnet anymore. Because the early buzz from test screenings of Hamnet was pretty weak, saying that it's just Jessie Buckley crying for 90 minutes and not much else. Is that enough to hang a screenplay nomination on? I mean, yes, there's also stuff about the relationship between Shakespeare and his wife. I mean, and Jessie Buckley and an absent Shakespeare. I mean, Shakespeare off in London while she's grieving in Stratford, from what I understand. I still believe in Jessie Buckley for the acting categories, kind of. But everything else from Hamnet, I'm less convinced by now. And how can you make something interesting? I'm sure there's going to be great emotional and emotive speeches in Hamnet. But is that going to be enough? We should say, I mean, I could see Hamnet moving back up into my 5. We shall see. But yeah, I'm not convinced by Hamnet anymore after that early buzz. I mean, I was never really, really convinced by Hamnet, but yeah, that early buzz has made me very wary. And yeah, I've taken it out of my nominations for adapted screenplay. Yeah, and the next one on the list is one that I don't really know a lot about. I know it played at Sundance, and this seems to have been a pretty weak year for Sundance, with not any really, really strong contenders coming out of Sundance. But this was one of the ones that got decent reports, and Netflix bought it for a decent amount of money. And it's got some profile with the filmmakers, so yeah, I'm putting Train Dreams on the list. Now, this is a film which is directed by Clint Bentley, who wrote or co-wrote Sing Sing last year, and I personally think that Sing Sing was absolutely robbed of several Oscar nominations. I mean, it did get a couple, but it should have got so much more, including Clarence Macklin for Best Supporting Actor. That was the one I was most angry about last year, that Clarence Macklin didn't get Best Supporting Actor. But Clint Bentley co-wrote Sing Sing with Greg Quedar, who directed Sing Sing, and Greg Quedar co-writes Train Dreams alongside Clint Bentley. So it's writing each other's films, basically, or co-writing each other's films. And Train Dreams is apparently based on a novella about somebody played by Joel Edgerton who goes out to the west, working the railroads, and then gets a farm with Felicity Jones and have a child together. I mean, and judging by the trailer, I mean, it looks sort of like, the big sweeping vistas of the American West and all that kind of stuff. The grandeur, the beauty. I think it's not a bad shout for cinematography nomination for Train Dreams either. Looks like that kind of film, and it could be something. I mean, Netflix has so many other films to push, to publicise. J. Kelly, Frankenstein, A House of Dynamite, Ballad of a Small Player, which I don't believe in at all. They bought Nouvelle Vague. There's also going to have to be room made for some of the animated stuff that Netflix has put out. Maybe even K-pop Demon Hunters, which is brilliant. I mean, a film called K-pop Demon Hunters, I watched it kind of as a joke and kind of because I needed to cheer myself up. It was a shitty week. So I watched K-pop Demon Hunters, so I reacted to it. And it's brilliant. It really is. So, I mean, I think some publicity is going to have to go towards that because they did release it cinematically, so it is going to be eligible for the Oscars. So, I mean, that's going to be in the mix as well. So Train Dreams is really, really far down Netflix's priorities. So we're going to have to see how it goes. I mean, and it feels like the kind of film that it is kind of an experience. I mean, it's an emotional thing. I mean, maybe a little bit like a Terrence Malick film, maybe, staring off into the middle distance at the beauty and all that kind of stuff. We'll have to see, but I'm curious about Train Dreams, and I'm of the options I have. I think Train Dreams is a decent option for my number 7 slot. Yeah, and then we come to Die My Love, which I honestly don't think is going to be on many people's lists, but this is one of those films that it could be good. I could see it being good for more than just Jennifer Lawrence's central performance. I think it's based on an Argentinian novel, which Martin Scorsese read and apparently sent to Jennifer Lawrence, and somehow it ended up with Jennifer Lawrence starring in it and Lynn Ramsey directing it. Martin Scorsese directing this would have been curious, but Die My Love, woman going crazy for 90 minutes. So yeah, certainly an acting showcase, but is the script, is the construction of the film gonna work? We shall see. I mean, but as I've already said, I mean, there's not a great deal of options, so yeah, why not put Die My Love on the list? I mean, I don't fully believe in this, but I kind of believe in it more than a lot of these other films. So yeah, Die My Love is on my list at number 8. And yeah, going really off the reservation with the next one is Header. I think this is a little bit of hope dictating. I hope Header will be good. I hope it actually gets attention come Oscar season, come award season. So part of that hope is me putting Header on the list in the adapted screenplay category, because Hedda Gabler is one of the greatest pieces of European theatre out there. 19th century European theatre. Henrik Ibsen, one of the stars of the theatrical world. I mean, Hedda Gabler has been described as the female Hamlet. I mean, it's that good a role. It's that meaty a role. And Tessa Thompson, I really, really hope that Tessa Thompson is good in this and gets attention for this. And as part of that, I think, why not put it in the best adapted screenplay category as well? Now, working with classic pieces of literature, classic pieces of theatre, it doesn't always work when it comes to adapted screenplay because, oh yeah, we've seen that, we know that, we don't need to pay attention to it, which might be an issue for Frankenstein as well, which I talked about earlier. So it could be an issue that it is such a well-respected, well-known piece of theatre. But it could be that this is the version which unlocks Hedda Gabler for a new generation. Did Glenda Jackson star in a version of Hedda? I believe that other people have been Oscar nominated for playing Hedda.
Hello again, Mr. Brack.
Mrs. Desmond.
I'm going to shoot you.
Don't aim that thing at me. No. 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 No.
That's what you get for coming in the back way.
Are you crazy?
Oh, dear. I didn't hit you, did I?
Now, just stop it.
Come in then.
And I hope that Tessa Thompson is the next on that list. And maybe if Tessa Thompson is a genuine contender and if the film actually gets respect and gets attention, maybe it ends up in Best Adapted Screenplay. Well, that's what I hope will happen. So it is in my Best Adapted Screenplay list. And the final slot on my list is a film I'm actually going to be able to see in a couple of weeks. It's coming out reasonably soon here in the UK. But this has been such a bizarre experience of the Oscar potential, the Oscar buzz surrounding The Life of Chuck. I mean, it is an extraordinary streak that the film that wins the People's Choice Award at the Toronto International Film Festival for the previous 12 years before The Life of Chuck, which did win the People's Choice Award at TIFF, that award winner got Oscar nominated. And The Life of Chuck was the one that broke that streak because it got pushed to the next year and into this year's Oscar contention rather than last year's. And I don't think it's going to get Best Picture. From what I understand, it is quite divisive. Yeah, there's people saying, oh, it's a feel-good film, it's so emotional, it's so powerful. But equally, there are some people saying, this is a mess. I mean, it seems to be sort of three different stories, three interconnected stories about the life of Chuck, who eventually ends up being Tom Hiddleston. And it goes in reverse chronological order, and apparently the first bit is kind of post-apocalyptic, or apocalyptic as the apocalypse is happening. So it sounds odd. It sounds like a strange structure. It sounds like a strange film. I don't really believe in anything for The Life of Chuck, but I'm putting it on the list. I mean, I can see it happening. I mean, that's basically what I feel. I mean, I don't believe in The Life of Chuck in any categories at all, but I can see it happening. And I think the category where I have the least difficulty believing an Oscar push, an Oscar nomination, is in the adapted screenplay category for Mike Flanagan, who has basically made a career out of adapting Stephen King. And The Life of Chuck is a Stephen King adaptation, which seems weird. I mean, but I don't know, there's hints in the trailer. Is this supernatural? Is there something weird going on? Is this, a horror kind of thing? Or is this Shawshank Redemption Stephen King? I don't know. And that's one of the things that makes me curious. But I mean, already seeing Tom Hiddleston inviting me to book my tickets at my local Picture House cinema for Life of Chuck. I mean, I've seen that trailer in the Picture House cinema several times now. With my local theatre, the Little Theatre here in Bath. Great little 2-screen cinema. It used to be a little theatre. And it used to be where Emperor Haile Selassie got news from his native land. When he was exiled from Ethiopia, he ended up in Bath. And the house that he lived in, which is about half a mile that direction from where I'm sitting, is an Ethiopian art museum now, which is cool. But yeah, there's a big picture of Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie, at the back of the little theatre main auditorium, which is interesting. But anyway, yeah, I've seen that trailer with Tom Hiddleston saying, pre-book your tickets to the Life of Chuck at Picture House Cinemas. Sounds a little desperate to me. I don't like it when they make the stars of the film do that kind of thing. You know, it's better in the cinema. I mean, James Gunn did a similar thing for Superman. I saw, but although that was at the Odeon cinema. I'm going to be seeing The Life of Chuck in about a month. When is The Life of Chuck coming out? No, it's August 20th. So, what's about 3 weeks now? Close to 3 weeks. I'll be able to watch The Life of Chuck. But, yeah, I'm curious to see what I actually think of it, because there's so many opinions out there, so many different opinions, so many divisive opinions about The Life of Chuck. I'm curious to see what I think about it. I mean, when I've actually had a chance to watch the movie. But it feels like an okay shout for Best Adapted Screenplay nod. So that's what it gets at my number 10 slot. And so on to the final category I will be talking about in this particular episode, and that is Best Original Screenplay. And right now, 7-ish months before the actual ceremony, it feels like Best Original Screenplay is going to be a 2-horse race. I think it's kind of universally accepted that both of these films are going to be nominated, and one of them's probably going to win. And once again, I think my personal bias is showing, because of the two major contenders, or seeming major contenders in this category, I'm picking Sentimental Value over Sinners. Because I don't believe in Sinners. I don't believe that it's going to win any Oscars. So therefore, kind of by default, Sentimental Value is going to be the winner. And it sounds like the kind of film that the Academy would go for. I mean, or the family drama, dealing with grief and dealing with these two different sisters with different personalities, or apparently. And it's also a film about filmmaking, which always helps. Hollywood likes recognising films about Hollywood, or about filmmaking. And that's what Sentimental Value is, because Stellan Skarsgård wants to make a film about his dead wife, tries to get his daughter, Renée Reinsve, to appear in it. She refuses, so instead he goes and gets this American starlet, Elle Fanning. All the while, the other sister, Renée Reinsve's sister, Inga Ibsdottir Liljas, she's got a very different personality. She has rejected the whole artistic thing and is just, has a decent job, has a husband, has a child, and she's okay with that, so seemingly. Or is she? So, yeah, I mean, family drama, lots of tension, lots of questions, all this kind of stuff. And like I said, it's got such a wave of support coming out of Cannes. This was the film that everybody was talking about, not the film that actually won the Palme. It was just an accident. I mean, the Grand Prix winner, Sentimental Value, is the one that I think is going to push forward. And as I've already said, I think it's absolutely guaranteed to win Best International Feature, assuming Norway submitted. I mean, it would be one of the most boneheaded decisions in history if they didn't submit it. But they've done similar things in the past. Different countries have done similar things in the past. I mean, Korea did not submit The Handmaiden. France did not submit Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Nor did they submit Anatomy of a Fall. The international feature Oscar race is completely fucked up. I am going to be doing a video about that eventually. I've got so much research to do for that. So yeah, Sentiments of Value is going to win international feature. I think it's going to win Best Supporting Actor for Stellan Skarsgård. I think it's going to get a lot of other nominations. And for right now, I think it's my choice for the original screenplay win in the 2026 Oscars. And that's because its other contender, the other major contender, which as I said, it looks like a two-horse race, is Sinners. And much as I love Sinners, and much as I think the script for Sinners is very, very clever, very, very intricate. I mean, it's one of those puzzle box means, oh, that little bit over there now makes sense when I see it over here. But it's put together so brilliantly. Ryan Coogler did such a good job writing Sinners as well as directing it. But it's too good. It's not the sledgehammer film about race, which the Academy goes for. So I'm sticking to my guns. I'm digging my heels in. Until proven otherwise, I do not believe that the Academy at large is brave enough, is good enough, has changed enough for Sinners to actually win a load of Oscars. I mean, there's so many people out there saying, oh, Sinners is going to sweep, Sinners is going to win all the Oscars. It's basically the only contender that's come out. As far as the general public are concerned, the only real Oscar contender that most people have had the opportunity to see is Sinners. So of course people are going to say it's brilliant. It's going to say it's the next big thing. 6-7 months from now, we could be singing a different tune. And until proven otherwise, I don't believe that Sinners is going to win. So that includes in the Best Original Screenplay category. And I think it's going to lose out to Sentimental Value. And then in my number 3 slot, I have After the Hunt. Now, as I said, I am a believer in this film, despite my aversion to a lot of Luca Guadagnino's work. I always had After the Hunt right near the top of my Best Picture list. It was my number 1, my projected winner, my first 2 Best Picture videos. It feels like the kind of film that would get attention. I mean, a Me Too type film. I mean, apparently there are people who've read the script who say it's great. And it's got a stellar cast with Julia Roberts, Io Debris, Andrew Garfield, Michael Stuhlbarg. I mean, that's an excellent cast. And it feels like the type of film that should get attention. But it also kind of feels like May, December. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who are drawing the parallels between May, December and After the Hunt. And May, December was a film I liked. It didn't quite work for me. There's some great performances in May, December. Universally great performances in May, December. The film as a whole didn't quite work for me, so I understand why it didn't do as well at the Oscars as many people were expecting and or hoping. And After the Hunt also has a little bit of that feel to it as well. So is it a chance it's this year's May, December? I mean, I choose to have faith in After the Hunt. I choose to believe that it will end up as a nominee in the Best Original Screenplay category. And then my number 4 slot is, I mean, a filmmaker I've already talked about, and talked about his writing abilities, because Noah Baumbach is best known, or at least gets the most attention from the Academy for his writing. So in writing J. Kelly, I think Noah Baumbach has a much, much better chance of getting an Oscar nomination. In fact, At this point, I'd kind of be surprised if J. Kelly didn't get a nomination as Best Original Screenplay. It feels a pretty safe bet because of Noah Baumbach's history, because of the way he works with Hollywood and the way he works with his actors. I think J. Kelly is a safe bet, and I think for Noah Baumbach personally, it's the safest bet of him getting an Oscar nomination in 2026. And yeah, I mean, I still really don't know that much about J. Kelly, what it actually is, what it's actually about. I think George Clooney is an actor who's going on a tour of Europe with his manager Adam Sandler or something like that. I think that's what it is, but I don't know. So it kind of sounds a little bit like it might be Sideways, which is interesting since J. Kelly is in competition at the Venice Film Festival this year, and the jury president is Alexander Payne. So I think J. Kelly might win the Golden Lion. Just putting it out there, just in case I'm right. But I mean, if it is that, sounds interesting. I mean, as I've said in my previous videos, I think George Clooney and Adam Sandler working with and for Noah Baumbach, I think this could be really, really good. So right now it is in my original screenplay category. And a little bit of a long shot. I mean, as I was talking about earlier, I mean, it's basically exactly the same thing I said in the Best Director category for It Was Just an Accident and Jafar Panahi and his positioning in the Academy. I don't think I really need to repeat myself all that much. It would be a statement if Jafar Panahi got an Oscar nomination. And right now, I've got Jafar Panahi having 2 Oscar nominations, both director and original screenplay. I think it's probably very, very unlikely that he's going to get both, but he's in my list for both of them. And by the sound of it, the script for It Was Just an Accident could be quite good with this sort of strange, blackly comic tone. I mean, somebody kidnapping somebody who he believes tortured him in the past. All the publicity stills have somebody, a woman in a wedding dress as well. So what the hell happens there? I mean, it sounds fascinating, and it sounds like one thing on top of another thing on top of another thing on top of another thing. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It gets completely out of control. Sounds like it could be cool. So yeah, the script for It Was Just an Accident, I think, is probably a better bet than getting Jafar Panahi in as a director, but I do think there's a chance that the Academy will want to make the statement of having Jafar Panahi as an Oscar nominee. So yeah, currently I've got some at 2, but I think the safer bet is in Best Original Screenplay. So yeah, as I mentioned a little earlier, I think at this stage, 6-7 months out from the actual Oscars, both of the screenplay categories look a little bit weak. So I was really struggling to what to put in my contenders list, but I think the one reasonably high profile film which qualifies in this category, which I haven't mentioned yet, and is therefore the first of my contenders on the outside looking in, is Marty Supreme. Now, as I've said, I don't know enough about what Marty Supreme is. It sounds weird. It sounds strange. And if it is kind of a Catch Me If You Can, Wolf of Wall Street type film, I don't think that's necessarily a good pitch for an Oscar nomination in the original screenplay category. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I mean, I'm not extraordinarily confident in Marty Supreme. I think Timothée Chalamet, is the only actual nomination I'm giving Marty Supreme, and I had it in at Best Picture as well. Yeah, right now I have Marty Supreme in at Best Picture and at Best Actor for Timothée Chalamet. and that's it. I just don't know. So right now, Marty Supreme is on the outside looking in. It's in my number 6 slot. And then I started struggling. Looking at the list of what seems to be in contention for Best Original Screenplay, I just don't know. I was struggling. And one film that wasn't really being mentioned in the Oscar prediction videos I've been watching, but it was on the Gold Derby list. The first time that Gold Derby published their list, though, this is going to be the list of contenders for next year. Black Bag was on it. The Steven Soderbergh film, right near the beginning of the year. And I'd never really thought about it, never really considered, because it was so early. It was the second film that Steven Soderbergh released in the calendar year of 2025 here in the UK. I mean, it was, I think 5 weeks, 6 weeks between Presence and Black Bag. But then I actually thought about it and I thought, yeah, actually, not only is Black Bag actually a really, really good film, what makes it so good is the script. I mean, it is a spy movie, and spy movies just don't do it for me. It's not my genre at all. It really isn't. I haven't watched a Bond movie since GoldenEye, I don't think. Or was that 97, I think? I haven't watched a James Bond movie since. It just does nothing for me. Didn't watch the Bourne film. Well, actually, no, I did watch the Bourne films, I think. Or the first one, at least. But, yeah, the spy thing and the double cross, triple cross, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really appeal to me too much. So, I watched it because, Steven Soderbergh directing Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, and Tom Burke, and Regé Jean Page, and Pierce Brosnan. Good cast. So I thought, oh, why not? I mean, it's so early in the year, there's nothing else on this week. So I watched it, and I was duly impressed. I really, really enjoyed Black Bag. And thinking about it, why not give Black Bag's script attention for the Oscars? Because it's a puzzle box. It is one of those films that works so well together, and there's twists and turns and double crosses and triple crosses, and who can you trust? Can you trust anybody? Which, as I said, usually doesn't do anything for me, that kind of paranoia in the spy, in the espionage context. That's not what appeals to me, but it's done really, really well in Black Bag. I mean, with Michael Fassbender becoming increasingly convinced that his wife, Cate Blanchett, has betrayed her country and betrayed the agency they both work for. And once he realises that Cate Blanchett is probably a traitor, can he actually do it? Can he kill his wife? Because that's what he is expected to do. I mean, find the mole, find the bad seed, and get rid of it, deal with it. And can he deal with his wife, who he does love and care for? It works. I mean, it's the kind of film that I mean, as I say, it doesn't generally work for me. Black Bag did, and once I saw it on the list on the Gold Derby site, I thought, yeah, why don't we consider Black Bag as more of a contender in the Best Original Screenplay category? Because right now, given what it's up against and what I actually believe in, I believe in Black Bag a hell of a lot more than anything else. I mean, it helps that I have actually seen it. I mean, other people will say Rental Family, but as I've said in other videos, I have zero confidence in Rental Family. But there's really not a lot else. So yeah, why not Black Bag? I'm putting it on my list. I mean, if nothing else, if you're watching this video, it's a recommendation to watch Black Bag, which I think is actually a really, really good film. It's the screenplay for Black Bag which I think makes it work so well. And it's on my number 7 slot as an original screenplay contender. And yeah, now we come to the point here in this particular category where I'm definitely hope-dicting. I think the chances of any of these 3 films, the rest of my list, actually getting nominated are very, very slim. And I haven't seen any of them, but they all sound really, really good. So in my number 8 slot is Materialists, the new film from Celine Song, which I'm actually going to be able to see next week. Finally. I mean, I loved Past Lives. I mean, Past Lives was such a beautiful, poetic, emotional film. And then Celine Song seemingly just did a rom-com. Or at least that's what it was marketed as. But once people actually saw Materialists, they said, oh, actually, this isn't just the rom-com. It isn't just a love triangle rom-com. There is something to this. There is something about the modern dating scene, particularly the dating scene in New York, and the ways that you're everybody's searching for perfection, you can't quite find it. And yeah, obviously a very attractive, very engaging cast of Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Evans. It feels like it's the kind of film that I will enjoy, and on my personal list, it's probably going to be quite high at the end of the year if it's good, and people say it's good. So yeah, Materialists. I think the chances of it actually getting nominated are pretty slim, but I did want to put it on this list, and there's really nothing else I believe in. So, Materialists in my number 8 slot. And yeah, then we come to Sorry Baby, which is another film which came out of Sundance, and actually similarly to After the Hunt, it feels like a film which is very much of the moment. A woman played by the director Eva Victor, who is struggling to get past or deal with sexual assault in her past. So I think that's what it is. That's what it seems to be. It actually feels quite similar to a film from 2 years ago last year, I Used to Be Funny, starring Rachel Sennett. I mean, Rachel Sennett, who is incredibly funny and very engaging in the film Bottoms. I mean, if you've seen my actress video in my previous video, I played a clip from Bottoms in that with Iowa Debris and Rachel Sennett desperately trying not to court. But she is a very, very funny person who was also in the Bottoms director Emma Seligman, her previous film Shiva Baby, starred Rachel Sennett, and that's brilliant. I mean, one of the most awkward and tense comedies I've ever seen. Well, it's comedy, in inverted commas, but yeah, Rachel Sennett was brilliant in that. And she's also brilliant in a very serious role, in more ways than one, in I Used to Be Funny. And that feels like what Sorry Baby is as well. I mean, I've seen the trailer for Sorry Baby a lot, I mean, because it's constantly being played at the Little Theatre in town. It feels like a Sundance film, and it was one of the few films that came out of Sundance this year with any kind of profile, with any kind of buzz. And I think it would be a stretch for Sorry Baby to get actual Oscar nominations. I mean, I think Indie Spirit, I think it qualifies for the Indie Spirit. I'm not sure how they do that. It's distributed by A24, which helps. If it's eligible for the Indie Spirit Awards, then I think, yes, Sorry Baby, that's where its future lies. But if it's good and it feels good and it's got good positive buzz coming out of Sundance, And Sorry Baby could be one of those films that actually gets an Oscar nomination. Sometimes it happens. I mean, like Andrea Riseborough and her campaigning for, was it Hey Julie, whatever that film was called. I mean, she was good in it, but she didn't deserve an Oscar. And Andrea Riseborough was brilliant, but no. And Sorry Baby, it could be that rare case where we're a very, very small film. And A24, this is not their highest priority by any means. If it's any kind of priority, maybe it actually gets into Best Original Screenplay. And it's on my list at least, and I hope it is actually good. And yeah, similarly to what I did in my Best Supporting Actress category, my final slot, my number 10 slot in the Original Screenplay category is, I have to be honest, a little bit facetious. Because I'm mentioning Splitsville again, mostly so I can mention The Climb again. Splitsville did premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, so I mean, it got a prestige coming out of its arse. It's directed by Michelangelo Covino, written by Michelangelo Covino and Carl Marvin, who are the team behind The Climb, which I think is a brilliant film about male friendship and toxic male friendship. And that idea that I've known this person all my life, therefore he is my friend, but he's not actually good for you anymore. You really need to move on. And you should move on, move past this connection. And Carl Marvin saying, but he's my friend. That's not good enough. And the Climb is a brilliant, brilliant film. And Splitsville is their follow-up. Although the interim, Carl Marvin directed 80 for Brady, which was a weird choice. But same as The Climb, it's directed by Covino and written by Covino and Marvin, and it stars them and Adria Arjona and Dakota Johnson again as their wives. And one of the couples is splitting up, and then the other couple says, hey, we're swingers, let's try this. And it goes badly. I mean, it's called Splitsville. It got positive responses coming out of Cannes. I mean, it played out of competition at Cannes, but it did play at Cannes, and it got positive responses. That's probably not going to be enough to get it any Oscar attention, but there's a chance. It's a minuscule chance. It's a tiny, tiny chance that Splitsville actually gets any Oscar attention. But I wanted to mention it. I wanted to highlight this again and again and again because I really, really want everybody to watch The Climb because I think it's brilliant. And I hope that Splitsville is just as good as The Climb was. And maybe it gets some Oscar attention. Almost certainly not. And this is a very facetious pick at my number 10 slot. But yes, Splitsville mentioned in this video, and The Climb also mentioned in this video. Yeah, Splitsville ends up in my number 10 slot for original screenplay. So that is the conclusion of the videos I'm going to make at the end of July / beginning of August. I'm recording this at the beginning of August now. But these are my July predictions in the wake of the Toronto Film Festival lineup being announced, or the premium screenings in Toronto and the full lineup for the Venice Film Festival. That's, enough information to actually release this video, to make this video, or these videos as it ended up being. I think the next time I'm going to record is probably after the Venice Film Festival, when we know what the line is, when we know what the buzz coming out of Venice is. Or maybe Telluride. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how much Venice and Telluride overlap, but Venice / Telluride after them, after the fall festivals, and the New York Film Festival, I suppose, as well. after those, have another look, see what's changed, what buzz has come up, what attention is being had. So yeah, that's probably the next time I'm going to release some videos, and I think that's essentially going to be the middle of September, I think. So that's probably going to be the next time I release one of these or make some of these Oscar predictions videos. But in the meantime, have a look around my channel. There's plenty of stuff. There's plenty of different stuff on my channel. Maybe you'll find something you like. Consider subscribing. Consider leaving a comment, hitting the notification bell, do all those things. If you've watched this far into the video, maybe I deserve a like. I think that is where I leave you for this particular video and for this particular round of Oscar predicting. So all that remains for me to say is this has been a presentation of the Yay, Nay or Meh channel, and I'll see you next time where I shine a light on TV and cinema, both obvious and obscure.